we call this an open house, but it's really sort of like, here's what the program is, here's what you need to be to make an application to the program, and why would you do that? Why would you apply to this program in particular? So first, we'll do some introductions. As I said, I'm Donald James. I'm the executive director at CITE. I've been with CITE a little over 3 years as the executive director. Prior to that, I was an adjunct in this very program for, geez, I think about 8 years while I was serving as superintendent. I did superintendency for 20 years or so, and I was a principal and teacher and all the things that you're embarking upon. And then I really felt like my work as superintendent was complete. I did it for 20 years and decided I was going to make this move and begin working with CITE. And I got to tell you, I love the work. I love being superintendent. I love being the principal and all of those, but this work really gives me an opportunity to work with future leaders in ways that you don't really get to do when you're in the field all the time, right? So welcome. If you decide to move forward with the program, you'll see my name, you'll attend seminars, you'll see me all over the place. In the meantime, some of the people that are really going to be the meat and potatoes help for you are here tonight as well. So Diane, do you want to say hello?
Hello, I'm Diane, the assistant director, and we'll be emailing a lot if you do come into the program.
So Diane will help you get through the application process, and even once you're in there, admitted into the program, she'll help you. Where are you going to be located, and if you need other support, and making sure you have the books that you need, and things of that nature. And we'll talk a little bit about that tonight. We have the coordinator for the program here, Tom. Tom, you want to say hi?
Hi, everybody. I'm Tom Connor. I work for CITE doing the SBL program as well as one of the doctorate programs, and I look forward to working with you all in the future.
Tom's another person that you'll be able to reach out to for support and as you're going through the application process. And again, once you're in the program, and once you complete this program, if you decide to enter the doctoral program, Tom will be there to support you as well, because we really try to build a pipeline from teacher education to school administrator, district administrator, doctoral program. We have somebody brand new to the company tonight who's going to be the academic support for the program. So any person who will interface with Russell Sage, as well as some of our other programs. Marie, you want to say hello?
Sure. Hi, everyone. This is only my second or third meeting with CITE, but I'm very excited to be here and I'm excited to meet all of you. Thanks for having me tonight.
So Marie comes to us from the field of higher ed. She's in higher ed for close to 15 years at Notre Dame and Sacred Heart, brings a wealth of knowledge. So she'll be somebody there to support you as well, both in the admin program, but also as you move forward and go into a doctoral program, if that's what you decide to do. So I don't read, one of the things you'll see as I do these presentations, I'll tell you two things. One is I'm not going to read the slides to you. You could read them on your own. The other thing is Tom will email this to you. So you'll get these slides. So you're certainly free to take all the notes that you want, but know that you're going to get this PowerPoint presentation via email from Tom tomorrow. You might say, why don't you send it out ahead of time? Because then some people don't attend once they have the PowerPoint presentation. And as informative as the PowerPoint presentation is, the sort of engagement and asking and answering questions can give you a lot of information that doesn't appear on the slides. The second thing I'll tell you is, one, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to tell you. Then I'm going to tell you, and then I'm going to tell you what I told you. And I learned that a long time ago. When you're doing presentations, that's the amount of times you have to tell people something during a presentation to have it become part of their consciousness. If you just tell it to them once, especially if you can't engage and have them have a conversation about it, you have to tell it to them 3 times. Okay, so that's why you already, some people say, well, you already said that. Yeah, I did. I'm going to say it probably 3 times most of this stuff. So what's unique about the program? So why would you pick this program? There are plenty of programs out there that you could pick, and you're going to hear a lot of things tonight that don't exist in other programs. You're also going to hear about the design of the program, and it was very purposeful. So for those of you that may be aware, we had a partner we used to do this with, College of St. Rose, that went out of business. That gave us an opportunity to really sit back, reflect on the current program, and build a brand new program from scratch with Russell Sage College. And we picked Russell Sage College because we also partnered with them for the doctoral program. and we knew what they brought to the table. So when we built the program, you can see right here, the program design, we built these absolute 5 features in throughout. It's there the entire time. So we didn't just sit back and say, well, let's just build it the same way. We made sure that we offer a blended delivery process. And we'll talk to you about what that means. When I say blended delivery, it's hybrid. Some of it'll be in person and some of it'll be synchronous online. We make sure that you have all kinds of support. So we're talking about the support in applying to the program and getting into the program, but then there's support as you go through the program. Because the program isn't just coursework. There's internships, and there's internships woven throughout the program. And there's a lot of support as you do that internship. And then we want to make sure that we focus on what it really means in the workplace. So although you'll get the philosophical underpinnings, you're also going to get the real life application. So what does it actually mean? If you understanding organizational learning in theory is one thing, but what does that mean when I go to work? How do I transfer that and translate that into my work? And our professors are steeped in that. All of them are current practitioners or recently retired practitioners. So they were principals, assistant superintendents, people from the various ranges, and they're built right into the program. You learn from people that walk the walk. It isn't just about talking the talk. And CITE's been known for that long before I got here. They hire, I was one of those practitioners that they hired. We make sure that there's a lot of interaction and engagement. So online programming is challenging regarding interaction and engagement. So you will see that one, we looked at how we actually provide online instruction, but also making sure that you have some in-person instruction. And there's a cohort. So there's a lot of opportunities to engage and interact. And then we use various tools for assessment. And when I say there's no test, there are no tests, but how do we assess your progress so that we can give you meaningful feedback so you have an understanding about what it is that you need to work on to become an effective and successful administrator? Because the last thing we want is people leaving our program, going into the field and not being able to be successful. I will tell you, we know we do that. I was superintendent. I hired 8 psych grads in a district that only had 8,000 students. So I hired 8 of them, and I hired them before I was the executive director, obviously, because I was superintendent. And the reason I did that was I knew they could actually do the job. Not only would they understand the job, but they could do the job. Okay. So here's one of those benefits that we talk about, sort of the alumni network. So that's how we find our adjuncts. That's how we support people in finding jobs. The program's been in place for, I think I figured it out at one point, like 34 years. That's how many cohorts there's been. I mean, it's been in place for a long time. More than 1,000 principals statewide are psych grads. 500 principals in New York City alone are psych grads. 1,500 assistant principals in New York City. There are more than 10,000 alumni just from this program. And you can see the list at the bottom, the folks that have gone through our program that now hold these positions. And why do I tell you that? One is it's a network. Those folks know how well they were prepared for the program. So when they're looking at people that came out of the program, they have a recognition. Those folks know what they're doing. Okay. It isn't just a pro quo. I'm sorry. One hand, it's not just a one hand washes the other. How's that? They actually are making, I know that you know how to do the job. So that alumni network is really important. We're in the process of building an alumni database where you can actually contact people that are alumni and work on mentorships, engagement. You can send resumes out. There'll be a job board, all of that because we have this really deep alumni network. That's sort of one of those, what feels like a soft benefit, but it really is a tangible benefit because it does make sure that you get a position. So we're going to talk about the components of the program. As I've already mentioned, it's current and relevant. It was just written. The cohort model, we'll talk about the cohort model, right? The professors are outstanding. It used to be, there was a process for hiring professors previously. Now they all must have doctorates and they all must be recently retired or active practitioners. And of course, the delivery model, which we're going to talk about. So the AERA, which is the American Education and Research Association, the largest higher education research association, accepted a paper that we wrote about the design and development of this program. So that's how state of the art this is. So we'll be in Denver presenting that program at the end of April. So it isn't just me saying it's a state of the art program. It's being recognized by national organizations as well. All right, so these are the 5 key elements. And again, I'm not going to read these to you. This is what's built into the actual curriculum. Right. So when we reviewed this, we went through it and made some determinations about what it was that practitioners needed. And of course, we wanted to talk about communication and engagement. We want to talk about being reflective. We want to talk about curriculum and instruction. We want to talk about HR and law. And we want to talk about being inclusive. So those are really the 5 major components that are built into the program. And they're woven in. They're not standalone. So as you go through the program, you'll say, so finance personnel as well as school law used to be standalone courses. That was an ineffective model. We wanted to weave that into the everyday practices that you'll be engaged in. And I used to teach personnel finance and law. And I said, that we could really weave this in and it'll be more effective so that you can learn about the implications when you're engaging with families, when you're building curriculum and instruction. What does that actually mean from a finance perspective? And I'm not going to belabor that by giving you examples, but there are plenty of examples around what does that mean? What's the law around shifting personnel? Because there are laws that govern how you can shift personnel. People say, well, it's the unions. It's not actually, it's the law, right? The union will help protect your rights, but your rights are given to you through law. So the tenure law is, we talk about tenure all the time. That's not a union protection. That's a state law protection. Right? The union supports you if somebody tries to breach your tenure protections. So that's really, and that's just an example. So if you become a principal or a superintendent, that's something you need to understand. It actually helps you have a stronger, better relationship with your union reps. So the cohort model, this is one of those, it is one of our, for lack of a better term, claims to fame. In addition to that, we really work hard at developing cohort and maintaining cohort. All right, so group learning, and it isn't just, well, we put everybody together in a group and we give you an assignment and you work on it together. That's actually not an effective model. It's common engagement around a common practice and conversation. So in essence, how do groups of people learn? It isn't about what can groups of people produce. It's how do groups of people learn? And it is exponential. There's also other levels of support that are important to you. So again, this is one of those slides I'm not going to read to you. The research is clear. People that are in cohorts are 3.6 times more likely to complete on time. I mean, that's just the fact of the matter. We graduate approximately 95 to 100% of everybody that starts the program. Other programs like this are at around the 70% mark because we make sure that we build in supports to help you get through the program. Now, these are the things that come through CITE and Russell Sage. And frankly, all of our other partners, if you engage in any of our other programs, we use that as a commonality. And of course, I already talked to you about group learning, things of that nature. And of course, you stay together. By the way, you stay together for the entire duration of the program. So you start, and we're going to go through the first courses that you're going to take when you enter the program. You start with a group of 20 or 25 people. And let's say you select a site that's in Brooklyn. You stay with those same 25 people the entire time you're in the program. That's on purpose. First of all, it helps build collegiality, support groups, study groups, but there's also a sort of a shared accountability. All right. You don't want to miss class because even though the professor may push you, your colleagues are going to be like, hey, where were you? By the way, you want to go in and see them. They become sort of your peer group, your friends. My cohort that I did my doctorate with was, I don't want to tell you how long ago, it was some time ago. To this day, I'm still friends with those people. I engage with, talk to those people, some of them almost every week. We have dinner a couple of times a year. We've worked on papers together. Some of them we've worked on projects for this program together. So these are these long-standing relationships that, and by the way, calling people and getting advice about a problem or practice once you're in the practice is really beneficial. So I would call people all the time, say, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. What do you think? Doesn't mean I would do exactly what they said, but I would use that to inform my thinking. Because I was sort of, after a while, you're like, hey, wait a second. I know I don't know all the answers. Let me see what Dorita thinks about this. All right. Let me see what John thinks about this. And I would give them a call. I would even talk to people outside of education. What do you think about this? How would this land on you? I would talk to students. So building that network is really important. And this is one of those first steps. Aside from the alumni network, you develop a group of people that you work with. I think I've already talked about the professors. I'm not going to talk about them again. I'll tell you that if you're in the system in New York City, likely you know some of them. You've seen them at conferences, you've engaged in conversations with them somewhere along the way. And if you haven't yet, because that's just not the circle you've traveled in, you will begin to shortly. So over the years, you will get to know them. They are some of the best and brightest people we've ever met. That's what we put in place. And frankly, if somebody doesn't perform at that level, we reassign somebody. We just bring somebody else in. That's very uncommon, but just so you know, that's how we do it. So let's talk about the program a little bit. So some of the basics. This is the delivery model. It's relatively unique. It's less unique now. People are beginning to pick up on this model. It's a hybrid model. So you will attend class either Saturday or Sunday, not both. Right? Typically, courses take place. There's an A session for a semester and a B session for a semester. So the first semester, you'll take 600 and 602. All right. You'll take the first course for about 6 or 7 weeks. You'll attend classes 5 times. So if it's on Saturday, you'll attend 5 Saturdays. And 2 of those 5 will be in person at a location. If you're in Brooklyn, there's a location in Brooklyn. If you're on Staten Island, there's a location on Staten Island, Suffolk County, Nassau County, Westchester. So those are the locations. The other 3 times you'll meet online synchronous. So I would imagine everybody knows what synchronous means, but this is the synchronous meeting, right? You show up at a given time, you engage in the coursework, and you move forward. However, it isn't just teaching the same way I would if you were in person. So the professors have come together for a significant amount of research as well as training on how do you actually deliver effective instruction synchronously. It isn't the same as you would do it in person. And we've been working on this. That's part of what we're presenting at the AERA when we go in April. All right, so that model is fairly unique. You do need to attend classes. All right, missing class. So if you miss one class, it's 20%. So you really do need to attend class. Do you periodically have to miss a class? You do. You work it out with your professor. You can't miss 2. Any particular course, you just can't. You miss 2, you can't pass the class. What'll happen is you come off cohort and we put you in another cohort. You don't want to do that. You want to complete on time. I can't remember the last time we said to somebody, you missed 2 classes, unless life happens. And life does happen. But typically, you stay online, you stay on course, and you move forward with your group. It really isn't much of a problem. It is designed to be completed in 2 years. You will complete this program in 2 years. So it's a 30 credit program, and it gets you 2 certifications, which is going to be, I don't know if you've heard, the state is going to combine that into 1 certification. So when we designed this, we knew that was coming. So this program is already developed so that you will get that 1 certification, school building, school district leader. Now there's 2 certifications, school building leader and school district leader. The state's combining it. This program already meets those needs, which is why it's a 30 credit program. We want to make sure that you have all the certification that you need. The price point is $425 a credit. It is the lowest price in New York, probably the lowest price anywhere, but we know in New York. Typically don't like to mention the names of the other schools, but I will tell you, it's lower than every school. So how do we do that? How do we deliver a state-of-the-art program with the best professors? Everything that you need is, we don't have a campus to pay for. We don't have that overhead. So we partner with these colleges that aren't necessarily local. We develop the programs down here, we hire the professors down here, and we rent space, but we don't have the overall overhead that the colleges have. So we can keep the price low. The other thing we do is we freeze it the entire time you're in the program. It cannot and will not go up. It's written into the contract with college. Your tuition cannot go up the entire time you're in the program. For those of you who have paid to go through other programs that go up 6-8% a year, or you have kids that are in programs, that adds up. It's frozen the entire time. There is financial aid in the form of loans. So there's no other financial aid available, but it is available in the form of loans. So about half of our students take out loans. And the other thing is, in some people pay as they go. Some people enter into a payment plan. But because the price point is so low, you can manage. Most people can manage it. If you can't, and certainly there are lots of reasons that people can't, that's fine. And you come in when you can afford it. We have also this benefit, which is a standard book fee. It used to be $500. So we've worked to get that price down to $350. That covers your books for the entire time you're in the program. But it also covers some other things that it didn't used to cover. So we used to charge $500 and you would get the books and that was it. Now you pay $350, you get all the books, you get the graduation ceremony, you get a diploma cover, cap and gown, and a lifetime membership in the Alumni Association. So for $350, if you know the price of books for graduate level classes, $350, you could pay $350 for one semester. So $350 for the entire duration of the program is really a great deal. So the actual program itself, what does it look like? Right? So here are the academic components of the program. So first semester, I mean, I'm not going to read these to you, but you can see how you could do this in 5 semesters. It includes the summer. So you finish in 2 years. Woven in there is the internship. So in previous programs, you used to have to do 600 hours at the end. Now you do the internship as you go, which is really important for the design of the program, because as you're working on leadership for equity and data literacy, you're engaging in project development, sort of almost like mini capstone projects for that particular course, which will count towards your internship. So it's really connected to the work that you do, as opposed to this isolated. So for those of you that are familiar, you've seen maybe somebody who was studying to become a principal, and they did their internship at the end. They had to do 600 hours, and you see them and they're doing cafeteria duty, they're doing bus duty, and they're doing and all of those things count. And those things, not say they're not important, because they are, but there are a lot of other things that are as important or more important, which include instructional leadership, engagement with families and communities, things of that nature. There is an opportunity at the end to really work on management, which would be in a 300-hour internship at the end with a capstone project. So that is a very unique, that's also part of what AERA was interested in, is that we had built this sort of ongoing embedded internship, not an isolated internship. Here's some important dates. And again, Tom's going to email this to you so that you can see it. You can start to plan. You can look at this now and say, hey, there's like 5 weekends here. I already have things I can't get out of. You'll see on some of these, it'll say 2 dates. So like May 17th and 18th. You don't go May 17th and 18th. It's May 17th or 18th, depending on whether you pick Saturday or Sunday. So anytime you see 2 dates, it's because if you pick Saturday, you would go on May 17th. If you're not a Saturday person, you don't go on Saturday, you go on Sunday. So that's why it's not both dates, it's just one. And so you can plan this out. The application deadline is May 5th. It comes pretty quick. All right. And then there's an orientation on May 17th and 18th. It's in person, it's May 17th or 18th. You would attend. You get to know your cohort mates. You learn about the online resources. You unwrap your syllabus. You talk about your course program. There's cohort development activities. And each semester, you will have the same professor for both courses. So you get to know the professor as you go. All right, so, which is also it's a loop, if you will. So you go from course A to course B, you have the same person. They're working with you on those mini internships. They're working with you on your course programming. They can support you in other things that you're working on out in the field. And of course, you stay with your same cohort mates the entire time. The next semester, you get a different professor. We'll teach 2 courses in a row for you. And they teach those 2 courses. So we don't have professors that are trying to learn how to teach all of the courses. They teach 2 courses. We have some maybe who teach another class somewhere if we need them. But for the most part, those are the 2 courses. They become experts in teaching those 2 classes. Much like when you teach, whatever it is that you teach, we want people that are an expert. They've been through it several times. So the internship I was talking about before, This is really, from my perspective, outside of their curriculum redevelopment and delivery model, one of the most significant components of the program. So each course, except for one, has a 50-hour internship. You would be doing the work associated with that at any rate, only now it counts toward your internship. It's embedded work. It's really powerful. You get support from the adjunct as you do that. At the end, there's a 300-hour internship. That's at the conclusion of the program. So you'll have a professor that supports you, but you also get a mentor assigned by site to make sure that you're on track, that you're working through the program. So you'll have a on-site supervisor, typically an assistant principal. You'll have a mentor that we assign, that you work with. We assign them to make sure that you're doing your logs correctly, that you're doing the right activities, that it's aligned to the standards, all of those things. And then, of course, you'll have the adjunct that you're working with. That's that multiple layer of support that we mentioned earlier. That's just another example of that support model. Those 300 hours, there's often a capstone project, and they have to be aligned to the standards. So there are standards for administrators, much like you for teachers, you may be working, and your school might be using the Danielson model for teachers. That's a rubric that's used. I think that's what they use in the city, or at least they used to use in the city. Only we use the standards associated with for leadership. And we built a program so we make sure that you're getting experience and working with all those standards as you're working through the program. I know I'm going through a lot, and there will be a chance for you to ask questions when we get to the end. All right, so what do you have to do to be make sure that you're qualified for admission? You have to have a master's degree in a related field. I'm going to guess all of you have that. If you didn't, you wouldn't be here. So you're an elementary teacher, you have a master's degree in reading, you're qualified for the program. All right, as long as you've had 3 years of teaching. All right, 3 years of certified teaching. You'll need 3 letters of recommendation. You'll need a letter that says you have support to do your internship, then you have to supply your transcripts. So this is where Diane, Tom, and Mia will come into play, helping you make sure that you get all of those materials in, because the timeline does get tight. They'll help track that. They'll send you reminders. You want to make sure you get those materials in. If you miss the deadlines, then you will have to wait. And sometimes that's not convenient. So we don't want you to have to wait. So we support that. We can get the college to sort of, okay, we'll admit you conditionally, and you'll be able to complete your application process, but there will be things they insist upon. Right? They'll insist that your transcripts are in, and rightfully so, that you have an application. That you submit your resume. You might say, why do I need a resume? Well, that's what's going to demonstrate that you have the experience. You have to submit copies of your certification. The letters, you may get some leeway on. Waiting for the letters. The internship support, you'll get some leeway. So, and those timelines will be shared with you. And if you meet those timelines, everything will be just fine. And we do have people that go through the conditional process, and it's fine, depending on your circumstances. So I told you what I told you. I told you what I was going to tell you, but I did it really fast. So you may have questions, and sometimes I go back. The next step is to apply. Get your application in. Right now, there are 300 people who've expressed interest in the program, close to 300 people who've expressed interest. There have 80 people have put in their applications. You might say, why? The sooner you get accepted, and the sooner you get to register. So there will be people that are accepted into the program that as soon as registration opens, they can register. And then you can contact Diane and say, this is the location that I want. I want to be in Brooklyn. Why is that important? Because the Brooklyn site could close. So once we fill the seats in the Brooklyn site, we say, you can be in the program, but you can't be at the Brooklyn location. You'll have to go to Nassau County, or you'll have to go to Westchester, or you have to wait. So if you want to make sure you get your first choice of a location, you want to get that paperwork in, get accepted, get registered. And so what I'll do now is open up the floor for questions. I may not be the one that answers the questions. There may be other people here that'll answer those questions. I do the smile and wave and go through this presentation, and then typically, and I know there have been things going back and forth in the chat, and I think probably Diane and Tom are answering those questions for you already. So if you read through the chat, there are questions and answers in there that may help you. But for now, I'm going to open up the floor and see if anybody has any questions. And just give a hand raise, and I'll call on you. There must be somebody.
We already answered all their questions.
You already answered all the questions, Diane? Ah, okay, Christine.
Hands.
I have a quick
Hi,
question.
Christine.
I was in and out
Sure.
taking care of my dog. Sorry. So I apologize if you answered this already. What are the hours if we choose a Saturday? And what are the hours if we choose a Sunday? Just approximately. I'm just curious.
Tom?
The classes run from 8 to 4:30 each day.
Okay.
Obviously, there's a break for lunch. You guys can work it out with the instructors if you want to have a working lunch to speed the day up a little bit, but that's typically the hours of each session.
And when does the fall semester begin if I were to apply for a fall cohort?
September.
Towards the end of September.
Okay.
I can tell you exactly in 1 second.
I think it's probably pretty close to when the fall classes start.
Yeah, the application deadline is August 11th. The first orientation is September 20 or 21, depending on whichever day.
And does the
Mhm.
semester end like in a regular school semester, like in December, like a college?
Yes.
I would say, okay, good. So we would be off like middle of December and then start again like end of January.
A little bit earlier in January, typically.
Okay.
But it does follow the college
Okay.
university calendar. So it doesn't start sooner than a regular semester and it doesn't end later than their regular semester. It all falls within the parameters of their semester. So yes, you would have off, and you go to school in the summer, but there is time in the summer when you're off. Because as you know, summer session in colleges isn't the same as summer session in public schools or charter schools for that matter, or private schools. It's typically May. Do you know when the summer session? I think the summer session, I think it's on here when the summer session ends.
Yeah.
So by August 16th, you're done.
Yeah, in the middle of the month.
So if you then don't have, don't start work again until, after Labor Day, you've got a good 3 weeks off.
And the summer classes are the Saturday or the Sunday, or they're during the week?
Saturday
Nope,
or Sunday.
there's
Saturday or Sunday,
Saturday
all
or
the
Sunday.
classes
And
on.
they're classes in the summer as opposed to internship activities or hours. They're regular classes.
Well, it depends on where you are in the program.
Okay.
So if you're at that stage of the program where you're doing your internship, the 300-hour internship, then you would be doing the internship, but you'd also have classes. But otherwise, you're just taking regular classes. And they do design it so that if you are in summer session and you're working on internship projects, that those projects can be completed while schools are in session. All right, because otherwise, if like in August, you can't have internship components to complete in August. There's no school. So that's been designed into the program. We've looked at all of that for each cohort. So each time we look at it, and so it runs a little different depending on where you are. If you start in the fall, what does your next summer look like? If you start in the spring, what does your summer look like? So we've worked on that and designed that.
Great. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Sure. Jamie?
I guess my question kind of goes along with what you were just saying, as far as like, I almost prefer to have the last session where you have to do the 300 hours, where at fall, if I'm going to be doing internship hours and things and have to, shadow a administrator or something like that, I almost prefer to do it while I'm not, in the middle of a school year. If I can do that, is that an option?
So the calendar, depending on when you enter, and I'm sure I have here. let me
Like,
just
that's what I
find that.
kind of want to figure out, so I know when to start, so that I can
So
plan
you
out
can see,
so I have the 300 hours when,
So-
I don't have a full class also going on.
so your 300-hour internship would be in your 4th semester. Okay, so if you start, you can do the math on when you start. First semester, second semester, third, 4th semester. So if you start this summer, that's your first semester. Spring is your second, right? Summer is your third, fall is your 4th. Right? The following spring is your 5th. So that's your 2-year cycle. Obviously, if you started in the fall, the cycle runs different. So you can sort of count off. That's the reason we put it in here like this, so that you can actually count that off. I will tell you that doing it while school is in session, it's built into the work that you're currently doing in schools. And you'll be able to design those projects with the adjunct. So the 300 hours, and look, a lot of times you'll do it before school. Some of the things you'll do after school. So I remember when I did mine, my principal at the time, who by the way, I still talk to, and that was, I don't want to tell you, it was the last century. I'll put it to you that way. I can tell you how long ago it was, but it's the last century, which sounds kind of funny to say, but and she actually said, okay, Don, I'm going to give you your lunch and your prep. Do you want it the first two periods or the last two periods, or do you want it right in the middle of the day? What is this you're working on? So she would block my lunch and prep so that I could work on things. Now I still had the professional period so that I could do teacher phone calls, prepare for the day, whatever it is I needed to do. But she would put my lunch and prep together. So for the semester that I was doing my internship, I had time. And then there were some things I did after school. There were some things, if I ran a field trip I've taught sixth grade, I was running a field trip for all of sixth grade. That counted toward my internship, and it was embedded and built into my workday. So there was a lot of things that I did that were built into my workday. Is it a busy semester? Absolutely. This program is a busy program. You will be busy. It is a lot of work. You will have to manage your time. You need family support. All of those things are true. But I will tell you, almost 100% of everybody that starts the program finishes on time, and they're not losing their minds. It's not like they finished it on time, and by the time they're done, they're like, I'm done, I'm burned out, I can't do this work. It doesn't work that way. We built it in and we pace it so that you can complete it because practitioners built the program. So we were very involved. The people that go to this program on campus at Russell Sage don't have the same program. We built this specifically to meet the needs of people in the New York City metropolitan area. Those are different than the needs of people that are teaching in Albany or Troy. Life is different there. So we built it specifically for that. All right. Emma?
Hi, yes, thank you. I actually work as a special educator and I work in the summer for a full school day for extended school year.
Mhm.
So I was just wondering, does that lend itself at all to like me completing certain like hours or internships? Like would I be able to do it during the
It gives you
summer?
more, if you ask me, it gives you more flexibility.
Okay.
So when I did mine, I taught summer school. You know, I was a
Got
New
it.
York City teacher. I was in District 2, and I taught summer school the 2 years I was working on the program, and it actually lent to supporting that
Okay.
so that I could actually have more flexibility.
Okay, great.
I could spread projects out over that time. So yeah, I absolutely think that.
Okay.
Uh, Go
With that
ahead.
being said, also, um, could that lend itself to completing the program in a quicker time frame or no? Does that
No,
really not?
nope, it does not. For a lot of
Okay.
reasons, not the least of which is the way the coursework is set and the way the internships are
Or
designed.
the
You,
pacing?
the pacing, and you have to stay on cohort. So we
Got it.
keep you with your group. Doing it any quicker, could it be done faster in other programs? It could, but it's frankly, it's not as effective.
Right.
Right. So that group learning, that engagement process, the pacing and the calendar are designed in such a way that when you go through this, it's real, it's authentic, and it's practical. And those aren't just buzzwords. So it's real. This is what you're doing. When you're an administrator, this is the way you have to structure your life. Practical. So you're working on things that are real that you're doing in schools all the time. And it's relevant because yeah, this is what you do in schools. We don't make it's not like, well, you have to do this because the somebody that hasn't been in a school in 30 years because they've been in higher ed, and I'm not being critical of them, but they just don't understand the principalship the same way because they've been in higher ed for a long time. Okay.
Right. That makes sense. Thank
Uh,
you so much.
you got it. Kim?
Let me skip.
Kim, I'm sorry, we can't hear you. Even though you're off mute, we still can't hear you. While you fix that, I'm going to go over to Samuel. Samuel?
Hello. Hi. So if we were to get into the program and start it May 17th, would we start right away with the internship hours at our current, I'm a teacher. Could I start that in my current school right now?
You cannot start prior to
I mean,
the
I'm sorry,
program start.
after May 17th, I mean.
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
If I were to start the program May 17th, would it
Yes.
Would the those first 50 hours, could I do those towards the end of this school year between May and June?
So the 50 hours are actually very specifically related to the course that you're taking.
Mhm.
So here where you see 600, so between May 31st and 600 ends July 13th. It's that time period that you would do the 50 hours. And then the next course, 602, you would then, again, 50 hours during that time period. Okay, that makes sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense.
And it's designed because this would be work you would in all likelihood be doing in that course anyway. But now we're saying, okay, go do it in your school
Mhm.
so that you have that real life application. It isn't. So I used to do it before we embedded the internships into the program where I would have them working on a budget. So I taught budget and finance was one of the courses I taught, and they'd have to work on a budget, and we had to do everything hypothetical. So because it's actually part of the program and it's in the school, you may not be working on things hypothetical. You may say to your principal, hey, listen, I have a budget project.
Mhm.
This is what I'm working on. This is how it aligns to the standards. The principal's looking at it like, hey, this is great. That's going to help me.
But that could be done, but for the 600 class, but I'd assume the 602 class would be over the summer when I'm not. I mean, I believe I'm going to be teaching summer school, but in a different building.
Yeah, that's designed such. So if you go in the summer, they may be backing up. So I now I understand your question. So they may back up some of your internship requirements into the previous course, even though according to the college is separate. But they back up some of the requirements from 602 into 600 for the internship.
Okay.
So your professor would work that out with you. We haven't had anybody have problems completing the 50 hours per course. That really has. I mean, I'm not going to say again, I mentioned before, it's challenging, but it's not challenging because of the structure.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Kim, did I call you? Yeah, you're back up. Can't get sound. You want to put it in the chat, Kim, and we'll try to answer it? You did? Tom, is there something in the chat?
Typing my question. I am the same situation as Emma. I'm a special educator and will be working this summer. Will I end fall 2026? It takes everybody the same amount of time. It's about 2 years. There's the semesters, and then you're also taking the SDL course to get the SDL certification and your 300-hour, the second half of the internship. So it takes everybody the same. You can't finish any quicker.
Right, it's the 5 semesters that everybody stays on pace with.
If you stay on pace, this is how long it takes. It takes 5 semesters. If you come off and say, I need to take a semester off, it does happen. Rarely, but it does happen. When you come back, you don't rejoin the same group. You have to join a different group. So then behind is a relative term. You're just going to complete it a different time. But then you'd have a whole new group of cohort mates. I will tell you that most people that consider taking a semester off for one reason or another decide not to because they don't want to lose their cohort. They became their support group, their friends. They don't want to lose that, so they stay. But it does happen that some people take off. That
Hi, so still with the internship hours, we're talking about 50 hours for 600, 50 hours for 602. Is that part of the 300 hours, or is there another 300 that's done after all the coursework is complete?
there's another 300. It's after the time needed for the 50 hours. So those 50-hour internships aren't part of the 300 hours. So you see here, the fourth
Yeah.
semester, that's another 300 hours. Are there people that don't finish the 300 hours in one semester? Absolutely. Then they go into the 5th semester. And that's okay. That's not uncommon. You could spread it out over 2 semesters and you still finish in time. Most people try to finish it in the prescribed amount of time. They try to finish it in the prescribed amount of time. They don't want to have to move it into while they're working on their SDL preparation. Because there's a capstone project there, which will keep you busy. But it wouldn't set you back if you didn't, for some reason, complete the 300 hours. But again, And we work with you. So you'll have a mentor that'll support you. Your adjuncts will work with you. And of course, anything that we need to do to make sure that you get through. Will we push you to finish? Yes, we will push you to try to finish in time. And we're very gentle, but we do try to move you.
Okay.
You know?
And I did have one other question. What if for some reason you're not able to do the internship at your school, or even getting that signature for a commitment from your principal? Is there any alternative?
Well, yes. That doesn't mean it's easy, right? So at the time that I did mine, you had to go to district office to do your internship for your SDL. So the way they designed it, so I had to do 300 hours at district office. So I had to design that and work. That made it a lot harder than being able to do it sort of in my building with regard to district designed activities. So I had to go, I was in District 2 when I did this. And so I had to go I was a PS 124 on the Lower East Side, and I had to go, if you know how District 2 flows, it was almost Midtown to the District 2 office. And that's where I do my intern. So could you do it in another school? You could. It would be challenging. I don't know that, Tom, I don't know if you know off the top of your head, do we have anybody who doesn't do it in their home school?
Some
I
people
don't know off the top of my head, no, but there are people that can't find, or for whatever reason, their principal doesn't have an SBL certification, because that's another requirement. Whomever you're doing the internship under must hold a New York State SBL certification. Sometimes they don't, and they have to go someplace else.
And you say, how could that be? Well, you could actually be a principal in a charter school. So you may be working in a charter school, and your principal obviously is the principal of the school. And there is no state law governing the fact that a charter school principal has a school building leader certificate. You have to do your internship with somebody who's a certified school building leader. So you can't do it in your home school. So it does happen, and we can support that. We can't find the internship for you, but we can support that. Can we do outreach? Yeah, we do. We'll outreach, but we don't place you, which is why we make sure that you have the letter saying you have a commitment to do your internship before you enter the program. Because we don't want you to get to the part where you're doing that 300 hours and you can't do it. And now you're like, how am I going to finish the program? So we set that up. We make sure that you set that up ahead of time.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Christine?
Hi, I have a quick question about the payments. So do you owe each semester, like you pay each semester as it comes up? You get an invoice or a bill or something like that? So first semester is 2 classes. We owe, those 2 classes that semester?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect. Thank you.
And if you can't pay it up front, because they have payment deadlines like any other school, you set up a payment plan.
Perfect.
And it's a very reasonable payment plan. They pace it out for the entire semester. So if it's 13, I think it's 1350 a class, 425, 425, and 425. So that's whatever, 2700 for 2 classes, give or take. And again, I'm just doing math in my head. You pay that over that semester, or you take student loans. Yeah, some people. Yeah, I'm not advising student loans. Just saying people do. Okay. I don't see any other hands, but that doesn't mean you couldn't push in a question if you have a question.
Linda wrote, where does the Staten Island cohort meet? It's only the fall cohort that has Staten Island. And it's usually, what's the name of that high school? Is it St. John Villa Academy, St. Joseph? What is that?
St. Joseph,
Oh, yeah, and
Josephville.
Brooklyn's usually St. Francis or somewhere down in downtown Brooklyn, like on Court Street, or our office is on Court Street, so it could be there.
Brooklyn, LAU as well.
It's the downtown area. I think it might be St. Joseph's by the Sea, for those of you that are familiar with I'm not positive, but and it sometimes moves, but once you're at a location, typically you stay there. It's possible that you could be like, if you're on Staten Island and it's at one school, is it possible it moves to a different school for another semester on Staten Island? It's possible, but we try to keep you in the same location the entire time.
Yeah, we do the best we can.
Yeah. It's not us. We're not the ones trying to change it, but let's say something happens and the school says, hey, we're doing construction, or we need the space, or whatever it may be. And then we have to move the cohort to another location in the same borough. We don't change the borough. We don't say, oh, now you got to go to Westchester, or the Bronx, or, we don't do that. You stay on Staten Island. And we have professors that want to teach on Staten Island. So they're set up as well. So what we do now is site team stays here as long as you folks stay on, and we'll answer any questions that you have, any lingering questions. You'll get an email tomorrow from Tom, which will have the PowerPoint presentation. You can then also email questions to us. All of our email addresses are on the PowerPoint presentation, but they're very easy. They're our first name at siteprograms.com. So I'm Donald, Diane, Tom, Marie. Any one of us, if we don't have the answer, we'll move you along. Look, I have a typo here. It is site programs, not pogroms.
What is that? Marie did that. She doesn't want any email. He still spelled it wrong.
Did I? Site programs. Hey, listen. How's that? You know what? I need somebody else to put the PowerPoint presentation together for me.
Oh, they just say.
Marie. All right, we're here. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. You can, like I said, email us. You can call us if you want. Here's a phone number. Dan, what's the phone number? Do you know?
516
Oh, yeah.
221 2936.
Tom, can you put that in the chat?
Sure.
Thank you, sir. If you want to call, if it's easier, if you prefer to call, that's fine too. You can call.
Hi, I have a really quick question.
Sure. Hi, Juan.
Hi, so I'm putting in the process, I'm putting on the application as we speak. It's just that I can't really go to Long Island because I totally don't have a car. So what's the protocol for me to make sure I can get into Brooklyn one more time? Because I remember you mentioned it in the beginning.
Just be sure
So
that
the
you
sooner-
apply soon enough and get everything in as quickly as you can. That typically guarantees, the early bird, so to speak, guarantee you to get the spot that you're looking for.
If we ended up having like 40 people that wanted Brooklyn, we could do 2 classes. But if we have 25 is the limit per class. So if we had 27, those other 2 people are gonna have to go somewhere else.
And those 2 people, it's a first come, first serve. So the first 25 get in to Brooklyn. If we then have another, we would run the second section with probably 15. So that would be 2 classes of 20. If we had even more, we've never run 3, but if we had the demand, we would run 3. But it's sort of that in schools, when you're designing classes for 5th grade, if you have, 4 sections and you have 104 students, what are you going to do? You're going to go over, or you're going to open another section. So we look at that and we try to strike a balance. It isn't that we don't want people in Brooklyn or in those classes, but more than 25, and you're not going to get the same level of attention from the professor. By the way, that 25 stays together the whole time. It's not one semester, it's not one course, it's not 1 year, it's the whole time. I've had 25, and I've had 17. And for those of you that all of you teach, you have to teach for 3 years. That's a big difference. And to go over 25. One time when I was teaching, I had 32. That was an impossibility. It just didn't work. They absolutely did not get the level of attention they should have gotten. And the theory was, go ahead, Juan, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's just that I'm looking at the admissions right now, and it doesn't say, am I reading it wrong? It doesn't say a preference to the specific location that I would want.
You don't do that until you're admitted, and then you let me know.
Oh, okay. That's cool. So then I'll do that then. All right. Thank you for your help. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
Sure. Diane, how is it? Would you say it's common or uncommon for people to not get their location, that their preference?
Not that uncommon, depending on how many people we have. I mean, if if we end up having a lot of people who apply and are admitted, unless we have enough to set up a second group in that location, some people do have to go somewhere else. Or they want Brooklyn Sunday and I have no room in Sunday, but I have Saturday. They'll go to Saturday and then hope that maybe somebody might drop out and they can move over and take the other. But then they most of the time end up liking the group they're with and they don't even end up wanting to switch, even if I tell them there's room. They say they want to stay, so it could happen, but most of the time we'll add a second location.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's just another case where get your application in. Once you're accepted, then Diane can place you.
Mhm. Somebody
It's the
asked,
latecomers that really have trouble getting their location.
there are no interviews anymore. They used to be.
Question was, are there interviews? There's no interview required.
And someone asked about the financial aid. You do that through the college. If you email me tomorrow, I can give you the information on who to contact at the college.
Yes, you have to do the FAFSA. It's the same process as any other program.
There's no benefit to beginning in the summer versus the fall. It's all, your choice. Each cohort's exactly the same. So it's just if
It's
you
your-
would rather start in the summer or the fall.
It's the preference. You're right, Diane. It's personal preference. You're going to get the same professors. You're not going to get different professors. They're going to teach. Like 600 and 602, we have those professors.
I mean, I would say the only difference might be, the internship. If you know that doing your internship hours, the bulk internship 607 at the end might be difficult in the summer because, the school you're in, might be a ghost town or whatever the case may be. You might want to just push it off so that you can do it in the fall when you know there's going to be a full staff. I think somebody else had a similar question like that earlier.
And there are schools that run summer programs. So whether or not you're working in a summer program, there are plenty of schools that run summer programs, and they do internships. If you're on the island or in Westchester, you could do an internship at BOCES. They run summer programs. You could do an internship at a summer school. So there are plenty of ways, and frankly, it's not a bad idea to do part of your internship outside of your school. You experience working with other administrators in different structures. Kat, your hand is up again.
Yes. So to that point, so I do summer school at another location, not at my school. So would I need a signature from that principal as well, just to start in June or May, or no?
Yeah.
Yes, you'll need a signature from each one of the people that are going to supervise your internship.
Okay, thank you.
Good. These are great questions. They could benefit everybody.
And
Thank you.
then what kind of like activities would I be doing with that principal or with any principal for the internship? Like
So
how
it
much would they need to commit to meeting with me or working with me?
And again, it's going to depend on the principal and the student. A lot of times it's a sign off on a lock. What they're really saying is, I'm giving you permission to do your internship within this school. I'll approve your project, which by the way, the projects are designed by the adjuncts. And they're all standard and we've worked on those. You're assigned by the adjunct and then you do them in the school. So the participation on the part of the principal or assistant principal or whoever it is that's supervising you can vary a lot. Like when I did mine, as much as the principal was there and was my signed on supervisor, I did a lot with the assistant principal. And then I did some work with the curriculum coordinator and then somebody in special ed. And then they would say, and I know this is really going to date me. This was before email. They would say, oh, Don did this. They'd write a note in my log and then I'd bring it to the principal and she'd sign off. So there's a lot of flexibility.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So Well, everybody, thank you very much for being here. Like I said, we'll continue to sit here until everybody logs off. And then if your account goes dormant there for a while, we'll log you off ourselves. And sometimes people forget and we log you off. Thanks again for being here, giving up your time. Get your applications in, folks. The sooner you do, the sooner you're likely to get the location that you want. Look forward to seeing everybody in the program. By the way, we need good people in the program, so thank you. All right.
I have a question.
Sure.
Hi, I submitted an application last fall, but I didn't attend the program. Can I use the same letters of recommendation that I used in the fall, or do I have to do?
They'll probably take it, email me tomorrow and I'll check with them I can tell them to move it. So they'll take it from the fall and put it to the summer and you'll only need to send whatever was missing last time.
Okay. Okay, I have pretty much everything and I already submitted my application, but those things are missing from my application process. And I don't believe they sent them another request. So I'm thinking I might have to email the letters of recommendation directly. I don't know.
If you email me and I tell her that you want to start in the summer, I can tell her to you can write them, the college, and tell them who you want them. Is it the same 3 people?
Yes, it's the same
Then
thing.
I can just tell her to make sure she sends the email again to them. So
Okay.
you can just email me in the morning and I'll remind her to do it.
So do they need to submit the letters of recommendation again?
Not if she has them, or if they already did it,
Okay.
yeah, then she'll have it. They won't have to do it again. I thought you would send me some of them didn't send it.
No, they sent them in already.
Okay, so she should have it. Just write me tomorrow and I'll double check to make sure that the college has everything.
Okay.
Yeah, they're good for like a year, right, Dane?
Mhm. But they
It's some-
ask. They'll keep asking, like, do you want us to move it? I don't.
Right.
Okay. All
See,
right.
Alana, so Alana, you have your hand up there?
Yes. I have 2 questions actually. So we need to submit transcripts, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Do they need to be sealed? Because I know usually schools want sealed transcripts, or do I open it and take a picture and send it?
No, if
No,
you're,
yeah.
sorry, if
By the way,
you're,
most of them submit them electronically.
I was just gonna say that they can be emailed by the college to the college.
But still official copies.
Yeah.
Okay, because they just send me physical copies. So
And you have to mail them. You can't open them. You have to mail them straight to the college.
okay, so is there an address that I can send it to, or?
Yes, email me and I'll send it to you
Okay.
in the morning.
Thank you. And then one more thing I asked earlier about the switching between the Saturday and Sunday. 2 parts to that question. If you pick Sundays, is it Sundays for all of the classes, or can you do Saturdays one class and Sundays the next course?
If we had room, I mean, they prefer you stay with the same group that you were with the whole time. But if you had to change, you can't do it. It would have to be for the next course. And
Yeah,
if I have room in that course for another person, then we can change, we can move you for that course.
It kind of breaks up the continuity a little bit because they're looping courses with the same instructor. Typically, there's two instructors for 2 courses, and they tie in a little bit. So it's if you can avoid it, you kind of should. But otherwise, it can be done if it has to be.
Got it. And also you said that only on like rare circumstances, if you need to miss a Sunday course, you could take a Saturday, because I was trying to map out my schedule. And there's like only one Sunday that's conflicting.
You would just miss that day. You don't take it on the Saturday, then you would just miss the Sunday.
Okay.
As long as it's not the first day of a course, that's something that you cannot miss. And the first day of any course cannot be a day that you miss.
Okay.
And then if you do miss a day, there is work and assignments that you would get from the professor. It can't duplicate what they did, but it can certainly supplement what they did. It's obviously if you're there for 6 hours and you're engaged in group work and conversations, doing standalone work isn't the same as engaging in that work with your cohort. So the professor, they actually have a choice. They can reduce your grade or they can give you makeup work. Most of them give you makeup work.
Okay.
So that you don't lose part of your grade.
Got it. All right.
That's what I always did. Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, my screen is off. I have a lot going on.
That's
No
okay.
worries. No worries. No problem. Thanks, Alana. Thanks for being here.
Bye. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
You
Have a
too.
good night. And there you have it.
Yeah.
A good group. Active,
Yeah.
engaged, ask good questions.
They
I
all
don't
stayed
know,
on
but-
for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were I get the concerns about the internship, but it flows a lot easier than people think.
Mhm.
It's not as hard as people think. Is it a lot of work? Yeah, it's a lot of work. Yeah, you're working, you're teaching, and you have to do your internship. It used to be, let me tell you, when I first started, you had to take a semester off. You couldn't. Like student teaching. You had to go student teach. That's the way they wanted you to do your internship for. It's like I didn't do it, but there were schools that were still had that requirement. It's like, wait a second, how do you not have a job for a semester?
Mm.
You didn't have a job if you wanted to do your internship. So, me, you have any questions?
I think my name is gonna get confusing.
Then you need to change it.
Or just
Mhm.
tell us which one you prefer.
No, it's Marie.
Mhm.
Is
I
that's the
asked her,
formal
not
name
her
though?
father. I asked her.
Marie is the formal name. Like, do you go by Mia typically?
Yeah, yeah. I go by Mia. I've always gone by Mia. My only concern about changing it would be if I do change it, not a single person in my entire professional circle will know who I am anymore. Like if I change my LinkedIn name to Marie, people are gonna unfriend me. They don't know.
So what a lot of people do, seriously, they
Yeah.
put Mia and then in parentheses they put Marie.
Yeah. Okay.
So your mother still has literally on her Facebook page, Laura Gallo James, in parentheses Gallo. We're married 35 years.
Yep.
But she said people won't know me.
She did have a
Yeah.
life before you, though, Don.
She did. She did. It wasn't worth anything, but she did.
Oh wow. She's not in
She
earshot
wouldn't
of you,
say
is she? Because
anything.
you're in
This
trouble.
is recorded. Don't
Yeah.
forget.
This is recorded. All of this is recorded.
Yeah.
All of this is, by the way, I knew her for about a decade before I even dated her.
Mhm.
So
I'm
I
trying to
think
recover now.
Yeah,
I think I
right.
met her when she was, oh please. I'm married 35 years. This not much I can say that I haven't said before and gotten in trouble for.
Can confirm. Can
Just ask
confirm.
me. Ask me. Loose lips. So, all right, folks. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Don.
Yeah. Tom, you'll email. I'll email you this version because this is different.
It's different, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll email it to you right now.
Okay. Yeah, I'll send it out in
All
the
right.
morning when I get in.
Oh, there was
All right,
one thing, I sent it in a text message. I think instead of saying that site is going to close, that sounds like it's closing as if it's not going to be held. But I think what you all mean is that it's going to fill.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That is true.
So,
Mhm.
yeah, so I think for me, I was like, what do they mean Brooklyn's gonna close? Like, that means it's not going to run, but you meant fill, meaning
Yeah, like that section closes.
at capacity.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's good. We'll use different language there
Mhm.
so that they don't think, well, we're closing. We're not closing the site.
Right,
The
Right.
site's just full. You can't
exactly.
accept any more new people into that site
Yeah,
because you put your stuff in late or
Right.
later.
Right.
Later. It's
Right.
not accusatory. It's just later. The people who got in sooner.
Well,
Like
and those are the
anything
people
else.
that complain and, cry and moan that they didn't get into the location. Well, you didn't apply until the day
What?
before, and what do you expect's going to happen?
Right.
That's it. So you have to go to the site that's open, the site that's not full, or wait.
Mhm.
So there are some people that wait. They
True.
defer and wait.
Well, it sounds
I
like
can't-
that one guy, he'd have to, like, if he doesn't do it and he doesn't have a car, he'd have to wait.
Right.
Right. Or
There
just
are
start
people,
applying
though.
now and you won't have a
Do
problem.
it. Yeah.
He was doing it as he was talking to us. He said that.
Yeah, but listen, you could do it because you only have to go 4
Right.
times a semester. You have to show up in person. So you could, like, if you couldn't get into
Yeah, get a
Brooklyn, you could go to the Oceanside.
Mm-hmm.
It's not impossible to get to. You got to take the LIRR. Take a subway to the LIR, take the LIR, walk a few blocks. It's possible. Or take a cab when you get off.
We
off
should
the train if
always
you arrive.
go over also about there are no children of any sort allowed into any of these locations.
I find it really, really shocking that we actually have to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Always
But
have.
But
it
we
is a
always
new
have.
conversation. We get it all the time now.
Wow.
They want to bring their kids to class and they want to bring them to the virtual class. You can't.
Yeah.
You're in class. I know the one girl in the doctoral program said, I'm going to have to drop. Okay. She wants to bring her every time. Listen, if there's a rarity
Right.
and the professor says, okay, well, it's okay. Don't worry about it. But you can't bring it every time. It's like I have to go. I'm coaching basketball when you have class, but I'll have my my camera open. No.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
That
yeah,
lady
I
was going
mean,
to her kids' basketball games. You know, no.
the public school, yeah, I mean, they you can't have the kids there, and
Oh,
she wants to bring her every single time, which is only once every so often, but it's still once every so often too many.
Yeah.
And she said she actually wants to have a conversation with you. I'm sorry to kind of get off topic here, but she's got special accommodations that she made with the city DOE that she's allowed to work remotely because she has no childcare. So she's like, I can't get into specifics with you. And I'm like, I don't, it's not my business. Why? Just, almost like I was led to believe almost like there was like some kind of
The father.
use almost, and she can, whatever the case is, she said she's got special accommodations and she's looking for those accommodations to be made with us as well.
No.
So I don't
Do you
know.
have documentation of something?
She does. She claims that she does, and she can provide it. That same documentation that she submitted to the the city DOE, and they give her this allowance where she can work remotely for this. But she said she's got nobody else. There's nobody else that can watch the kids, and
Mia, turn off your HR hat. I don't give a crap. I'm not doing it. So I'm not doing it.
all right.
We're not doing this. It's disruptive to the other students. So it's completely different in a work situation, and they're going to allow her to work from home remotely. Even remotely, if your child is there, it's disruptive to the other students, or it's going to disrupt your learning. So if you have to turn off your camera and you have to mute the whole time because your kid is being, and I met the kid, we know that kid's not a disruptive kid. It isn't actually her that I'm concerned about. It's everybody else. Because by the way, there's going to be that door will open and you won't be able to close it.
No.
And we know there are going to be people that are going to bring their 8-year-old. It's going to run rampant. Next, it's going to be, I'm going to bring my dog. And I'm not kidding here. I'm not one of those alarmists, but look, I worked in public schools for all these years. And the minute we said somebody could bring their kid to teach when they taught in summer school, everybody wanted to bring their kid. And I'm not kidding. It was crazy. And they said, and the reason was I don't want to have to pay for childcare.
Exactly.
And if you're letting her bring her child.
Oh, I'm not saying we should let her
mine.
bring. I'm just curious to know what the special accommodations were. She's looking to do it when the in-person meeting sessions are held for SPU, to do it remotely somehow, not bring her child there. She understands that can't happen.
She never wants to meet in person. She wants to just.
She's just wondering if some kind of accommodation can be made, especially for her, so that she can either do it remotely and chime in or continue doing it asynchronously in a way.
She'd have to talk to Linda. So
Linda's going to defer to you, I'm sure.
Linda will talk me through. And what I'll say to Linda is, do you want to do this? And if you do, what are the ramifications? So if Linda does this, it's going to be extra effort on her part. So I don't want to commit Linda to doing it the way that this woman wants it to be done, because Linda, we know, is I don't want to say overwhelmed, but boy, she's got a lot on her plate with that Saturday program. And this creates yet another wrinkle. Keep in mind, we have 2 students from Colorado that will never appear in person, and they will be handled remotely, which has added a lot of work. So there is. So I'll talk to her about it. If this girl contacts me, I haven't got an email. I mean, I got the original email from her, but then you spoke to her. I haven't heard from her since.
The following day.
If she were to contact me, send me an email or something like that, all I'd say to her is I'll talk to the program coordinator and see if there's a way to manage this. And then I would talk
Okay.
to Linda. And if Linda says no, then I'll say St. Peter said you couldn't do it.
Well, I was gonna say,
Oh,
so this is a legitimate question. She's
yes,
technically a student at St. Peter's,
that
or
is
would
correct.
be a student at St. Peter's. So would she
She
have
is. She's already in the program.
Yeah, so would she have the right to submit a disability accommodation request through their Office of Student Accessibility, which then would, if deemed a reasonable accommodation, essentially force the faculty member to have to do it? Or you're saying it's an essential function and therefore we're unable to accommodate that?
So there's two things. In this case, this is different because the Saturday program for the doctoral program is not part of the St. Peter's.
Oh,
It's a
It's
site
ours.
run.
Only
Yeah.
site
Got it.
site runs it. It's what do we call it? We call it a couple
So
different things,
Saturday
but it
support sessions.
yeah,
Got
Saturday
it.
support sessions, and it's not credit bearing.
got
There's
it.
no teaching, so she technically doesn't even have to go.
Have to go. Okay,
Yeah.
It will
That makes sense.
hinder her
Technically.
ability to complete on time. So
Right.
there's no grade associated with it. So Linda might say, okay, you know what? I'll let her off the hook.
hmm
She doesn't have to attend.
Right,
So she may say, I don't want her to attend with the kid.
right.
Well, maybe
That's gonna
we
be-
could put some kind of stipulation in too that, she has to do something else if she needs a special accommodation, because it's not like it's an on-campus school type thing. It's just, the once in a while Saturday.
Basically, they come once a month, Saturdays on Long Island.
Yeah,
And it's meant to keep, because it's an asynchronous, that doctoral program is asynchronous, not synchronous.
not synchronous. So it's
And
their
before
live.
and St. Peter's does this, and their graduation rate before us, and we haven't finished any students yet, is only at around 35-40%.
Wow.
That's because it's asynchronous.
Right.
So
Mhm.
students don't finish. So the touch point is really important. The cohort, all of that is important to get people through to completion. And so far, cohort 1, for the most part, is on track to complete on time. Cohort
great.
2
There's two students that are going to come looking to complete early.
early.
Wow.
Cohort 2 is on track to complete on time or early.
Mhm.
So the model is working.
Yep.
So we don't want to
You
diminish
know,
the
a
model,
method. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
otherwise then they don't finish on time.
Right.
That's bad for lists, it's bad for stats, it's bad for them, it costs them
Right.
money. Then they didn't finish.
Mhm.
And then of course we like to, part of what we do is we complete you on time. We build this and design this.
Yeah.
And if
Right,
you
it waters
like
down the program.
these people that want to change from Saturday to Sunday and change,
Right.
it will hinder their ability to complete.
Yeah. You can't. Yeah.
They don't think it will, but it will. We've seen it 100 times. So that's why we really shy away from it. And I don't want to open this door.
Well,
So
but if
you're
it's
coming
not
at
a
it from the,
requirement, right?
No.
If you're not saying you absolutely have to go in order to graduate, I mean, it's very, very helpful for you to go.
Right.
Well,
Therefore,
they are calling it a requirement. I mean, St. Peter's, I don't think cares whether we do it or not, to be quite honest. But I know that Linda, for sure, without
She
this, some
tells them they
people
have to
would
be
be
there.
completely lost.
So
So it's extremely helpful and beneficial to them.
Well,
But
because my edict to Linda is graduate them all.
right.
So Linda's basing, this is designed so that they finish on time. And Don's telling me I gotta get them to finish on time.
Right.
And he's watching my numbers. And the other component is she may say, well, I'm not going to be your dissertation chair then.
Mm.
that could
So
be.
you'll have to take one of the remote dissertation chairs from St. Peter's.
Mm.
So I don't know, because that's another layer. So when she's a chair for a certain number of students, when they show up on Saturdays, she can work with them throughout that
Right.
Saturday. It's not this
Well, then she gets to
passing
know them too, and like her and I were talking about this recently, which she's like, it's different because I get to work with these people and I get a feel for
Right.
them and understand their writing and everything else as they go through this program.
Sure.
And somebody like those St. Peter's adjuncts who nobody ever meets, you don't really know who these people are. I don't know.
So this is why this is a sort of gray area, because even
Yeah.
though we don't actually have the authority to
Right.
mandate somebody to attend the Saturday class,
Right.
we say it.
Right.
Most people abide by it unless they push. The St. Peter's won't kick you out if you don't go to Saturdays. They
Right.
won't kick. They're not
But
going
they
to.
will if their GPA drops.
Well, if your GPA drops, that's the only way,
But that's
and
the
we know it
GPA.
will.
Yeah.
then it's on them, and we don't
Right.
want that.
No.
And we tell them we did this for you, and we do.
Yeah.
By the way,
All
it
right, so-
costs us a fortune. We don't bill them for this. They only pay the regular tuition.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So it costs us, site pays all of that money. So that's the other thing. We don't want, people are going, I'm not going to come. Yes, if she contacts you again, or you already left her with, she'd have to email me.
Okay.
And I don't need an email argument. Just tell her, meaning not the argument, but
I know
just
what you mean.
tell me you want to have a phone call. If she
Okay.
emails me and says I want to have a phone call, I'll have a phone call with her, and then I'll share it with Linda, and then we'll make a decision.
All right. Do you want me to just? I'll forewarn Linda just to kind of let her know what she's asking. You know, Linda may flat out just say no, it's not going to work, and that's it. And then okay, then that's it. You know.
It doesn't work that way, Tom. If I talk to this girl and I think we should accommodate this girl, Linda will do what I ask.
Okay.
So I need to, and of course I'll ask Linda, but if there's some reason that I think, listen, we're going to get jammed up here. Like the stuff that Mia's saying, if I'm going to get jammed up, because this girl, she's very bright. That's a very bright woman.
She is.
And I don't think she is naive enough that she wouldn't understand that she could force our hand.
Mhm.
She has some rights, I think.
Hmm.
She does.
Okay.
She does. And so I don't think Linda is, look, she was superintendent too. She's not going to flat out say no. She's going to talk it through with me. So, I mean, certainly, I don't care if you give her a head. What do I care? I have a meeting with her on Monday. It's over a bunch of things, but just I'll add this to the list.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, folks.
All
Thank
right.
you very
Thanks,
much.
Thank you.
Mia,
Nice to
stay
meet
on.
you,
I'm going to
Mia.
debrief with you. All
It
right.
was nice
Great
meeting
to meet you.
Mia.
Thank you.
Thanks, Diane.
Bye.
Good night.
Have a good night.